Welcome back, everybody, to another special weekend edition of Maniacal Music Musings. I'm your host, as always, Jeremy. You know, a zombie that just wants to say, "Let's all get freaky." It's my religion to get freaky, as you all know. We're coming live to you from Hell's Kitchen, where there's a overpopulation annihilation starting to begin. I mean, it's a busy fucking place. What can I say? A lot of people in hell nowadays. But of course, I wouldn't be here without my co-host, as always. He is one happy mealworm who just is dying to hear Elmo's last laugh. They say only the good die young, but he ain't dying young. He's gonna be an old grumpy ass man. I'll tell you that much right now. Chancy motherfucking Grife.
Hi.
And of course, we are joined by another glorious guest to come and talk to us about the greatest thing on earth, and that is music. And he's somewhat of an expert in the music scene. We'll get to that in a bit. First things first, Mr. Martin Tracey is, well, back again, I'll say, for those who watch both my shows. But how you going? How's it going today, Martin?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me back. Different topics today, but it'll be good to chat. I'm interested in how things unfold in the next half hour or whatever. Music. I like the way you describe music. It's certainly something that we need, isn't it?
Truly is. It is. It's a remedy for every emotion in the world. So it works. Which Martin actually wrote a couple books based around music, including the one I'm dying to read still. It's on top of my reading list, and that's the 27 Club.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fiction book, part of the Judd Stone series. Judd Stone's a bit of an anti-hero character. But anyway, in Club 27 is about 27 Club. What he's trying to do is protect a 26-year-old rock star from becoming the next member of the 27 Club, but in parallel is trying to work out why the hell this keeps happening. You know, all these 27-year-old pop stars, rock stars tragically die at that age. It's a subject that's always fascinated me, and I wanted to weave a bit of a story around it and explore it a bit. So it goes into a few theories, which the reader, are left to make up their mind. But, you know, I'll just name some of the people who were involved in case someone doesn't know. But, you know, these people died at 27. Amy Winehouse, very popular at the moment with the Back to Black album out. Kurt Cobain, Nirvana. Going back to the 60s, you got Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, of course, of The Doors. I've been to his grave in Paris. That was an experience.
Same.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I mean, as far as graveyards go, they're cool.
Yeah.
Chase.
Oscar Wilde and
that's it,
Jim Morrison. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that one. And I've done a few non-fiction books. I'm working on a few non-fiction books in music, but we can probably cover that later if you want, unless you want me to go into it
now. Well. And I believe you also write some music history books as well that are nonfiction, do you not?
He just brought that up.
Yeah.
He just brought that up.
Yeah.
I got distracted for a second here, but
I can talk about them. So there's a whole bunch of discographies out there. So these are like there's a guy called Andrew Spark who runs APS Publications, and that is his brainchild. He pulls in lots of different authors to create these discographies, and he's got well over 200 now. And what they are is they're like a little coffee table book. They're biogs, little biog of the artist, and then it has the artwork of all the album releases and all the documentation of all the releases of the tracks. So the discographies, illustrated something or other he calls them, but they're discographies. The ones I've contributed to: John Lennon, George Michael, trying to think now, Amy Winehouse I've done, a few other, Black Sabbath. So hopefully Chancey will like that one. Yeah, I'm getting the thumbs up of that one on Chancey. But a couple of non-fiction works I'm actually working on at the moment. Is one, we've got a fuzz box, we're going to use it. They were an all-female band from Birmingham in the 80s who have quite a cult following. So I'm working with two of their key members, Vix and Maggie, to create their biography. And we're having lots of fun doing that. The other one is, which I don't know if you guys have heard him. There's a guy called Robin George. Sadly, he passed away in April. But I started to work with him for his biography, and I'm now finishing it off with the help of his family and other people. So Robin, the thing is with Robin is people don't realise just how many people he's worked with and produced. So he's worked with Glenn Hughes from Deep Purple. So he was a rock guitarist and a very respected producer as well. It worked with Phil Lynott, and he was going to be part of the recreation of Thin Lizzy when sadly Phil passed away. So that stopped that happening. The story of Robin is how worldwide fame was always quite evasive from him. But nevertheless, he's done a lot of stuff on record and production. He produced Rothschild, and he had his own sort of era in the 80s with all that 80s sort of rock thing that was going on. Heartline was his big song. But yeah, I'm working on that as well. So there you go.
Nice.
Busy man as always, Martin. Busy man as always.
Yeah, I'm busy, man. Yeah, totally busy.
Yeah. Well, we came here to talk about this so-called music, and we will start off with the album you brought. Tell us why you wanted to bring the album you brought.
Well, the album I brought is Hard Day's Night by the Beatles. I'm just an absolutely Beatles nutcase. I mean, Judd Stone, who I spoke about earlier, he's a Beatles nutcase as well. So he's kind of an extension of me, Judd Stone is. But I brought this particular album. I mean, I could have gone for Abbey Road, and the later stuff, which is, as the Beatles progressed as musicians, it is the far more sort of, I guess, probably more. I don't know if I should say this because it's probably the wrong term, but maybe the more respected, wider sort of music, because they had evolved as musicians and were doing some great stuff with Come Together. The Abbey Road album is just fantastic. But I went for A Hard Day's Night because I just find it so melodic. The harmonies in it are just brilliant, and I'm into that sort of poppy stuff. I love rock and I love pop. I love anything that's good. You know what I mean? It's like genres of books. Anything that I think is good, I like. And A Hard Day's Night was just pure, fantastic pop album. Like I say, with so much melody and energy in it. And it also marks a period where they had their first film. And also, it kind of aligns around with when they broke America. So I think it's got quite a lot of significance, importance. And even the people of today and rock bands and that, who you talk to them and they'll go, yep, Beatles are my influence, even if you can't necessarily see it as a golden thread. So, yeah, Hard Day's Night.
Which, well, actually, I'll go first in this one because I kind of want to save Chancey's album for last for reasons. But when you said you wanted to bring Hard Day's Night, I wasn't surprised because I know your affection for the Beatles already at that point.
Yeah.
But I'm like, all right. I'm like, this is the album I actually haven't really listened to in full in many, many years, so I will gladly check it out one more time. And I mean, it still holds up. I mean, there's some tracks on it I don't exactly love, but there are a lot of tracks I do love on it. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it's my favorite Beatles album by any freaking means. I mean, that's Sgt. Pepper's for me, but because I like the Metro India when they got all the drugs. But
yeah, I get it. I get that. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And that plus, I think Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is still one of the best put together albums ever made of anybody. Like, it's incredible. It's incredible. It's perfectly synced throughout the whole freaking album. Like it's amazing. But Hard Day's Night, definitely some good tracks in there. I got my top 5 definitely. I got one honorable mention, but it's just not. It's kind of that era of the Beatles I'm not a huge fan of. Like like I said, I like later Beatles. Early Beatles is kind of like, I get it. I see the music was good. The freaking harmonies, like you said, were amazing. But it's just a little too poppy for me. Like at that time.
I get that. I think you listen to early Beatles and late Beatles, even though it's only an 8-year window, which is quite small when you think it's not even a decade. When you think of the bands that have been around, they sound like 2 different bands to me, to a certain degree. You know what I mean? Like, the poppy side of it, and then it evolves to like the more rocky side, not heavy rock, of course, but certainly more progression in terms of their approach to songwriting and structure of songs and that kind of stuff. So yeah,
they matured fast. As in those 8 years, they matured fast, and as fame will do. I mean, they all went their separate ways because of it. They all became different people because of it completely. So they weren't just four young kids from Britain anymore that were just like every other teenager in Britain at that time. Like that, they became their own man. So it's definitely a cool progression to see. But Chancey, what did you think of Martin's album?
See, to where you prefer the old, like the latter section of the Beatles, I always was more. If I'm actually gonna say I like this, it was the early stuff. That like listening to it with my dad on all the classic rock radio or oldies or all the oldie stations and whatnot. That stuff always, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge Beatles fan, but I can absolutely grab, you know, fistfuls of songs and be like, this is a good song. Because, like you said, if it's good, I'm going to respect it. And, like you said, the melodics are solid. And, there are two songs that I actually enjoy from the band that are on this particular album. I was able to get my 5, and I did enough trashing on the Beatles last night, so like I don't really have to light fires today. I mean, it is what it is. I have my own personal reasons for not particularly caring much for the band, but it is what it is. I mean, I don't understand why Jeremy doesn't like the older part very much, because it's like it's not like they took over. It's not like they took over America and did Beatlemania with fucking Yellow Submarine. Okay.
Oh, I don't like. I'm not a fan of Yellow Submarine at all.
I don't care if you like it or not, but they didn't use that as like this is our takeover method. It's the Trojan horse to get the Beatles into fucking America. No, they actually, played the game, got in, and then they were like, well, fuck it. What are we going to do now?
Basically, I mean, and then they went to India and popped some things, and everything got a little more magical and colorful. It just became a different.
I don't think they had to go to India to pop the things, dude. They just happened to go to India during the time of the popping the things.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, it's you're right. They didn't have to. I mean, they could have went to California and easily done that in the fucking 60s and 70s, like Jesus, they could have. But it's just, they did what they did, and they are still world famous because of all this shit. So, and it's not that I don't like the early stuff. I like some of it. It's just not. It doesn't have the re-listenability to me that a lot of the older stuff does, or newer stuff does, I should say, for them. Like it's all old stuff at this point, but the newer stuff has more. I could re-listen to those albums over and over and not get tired of them. I couldn't listen to Hard Day's Night like every day for a week, and eventually I just be like, oh my god, let it end. Like, don't let it be, let it end. But
very good.
Live and let die. Live and let
die. But what were your top 5 songs off your own album there, Martin? Kind of dying to see.
Yeah, so in reverse order, I've done it with "You Can't Do That," which is I love Lennon's vocal on it. He's a very raw vocalist as an early Beatle. Mind you, he's always was, especially when he done his solo stuff. So, but it kind of just comes through on this track for me. His raw vocal, especially in the middle 8, and it was a toss up between this and what's the other song? I'm gonna have to look. The other one was "When I Get Home," because both the middle 8s had like them ear pricking lyrics that you think, oh, that's not a song I hear very much. Because in when I get home, I'm gonna till the cows come home, and that's like you never hear that in a song, And I love it when your lyrics are just like I've never heard that in a song. And in the middle 8 of this one, Lennon sings "Everybody's Green," which I just like that. Everybody's green because I'm the one that won your love. So it was "You Can't Do That" for me at number 5. Want me to keep going?
Oh yeah, go ahead. You do all yours.
Number 4, I should have known better. The reason I chose this one, it's a catchy damn tune. I love Lennon. I'm more Lennon. Okay, I'm pro Lennon. I love all the Beatles, but I am team Lennon even, not Lemon. So with "I Should Have Known Better," his harmonica, I thought he was a really good and probably underrated harmonica player. He was taught by a bus conductor, I believe, on a bus in Liverpool. But But this was one of my early memories of the Beatles. There was some in England. They played some the films and everything in 1979. So it was only a year before Lennon got shot. And I was an impressionable young, not even a teenager at this point. And what I loved was I don't know if you can remember this scene in the film. They sing "I Should Have Known Better" to these girls in a train carriage in the luggage compartment of the carriage. Pattie Boyd is one of the girls who George Harrison goes on to marry. And it was like, I just want to be a Beatle at the moment and be in this carriage with these girls and impress these girls by playing mouth organ and singing, So that's why I Should Have Known Better got in at number 4. A lot of good memories there. Number 3, A Hard Day's Night, the title track. Again, I love the backstory behind this. My understanding is they didn't have a actual title for the film yet. Or they didn't have a track title. And A Hard Day's Night was something that Ringo used to just say. And Lennon, I believe, he just said, okay, I'll come back with the song tomorrow. And he went away, wrote the song overnight and came back with A Hard Day's Night. Literally that quick. And what I love about it is when I listen to A Hard Day's Night, the actual song, I can't believe there's only 4 people playing on it. There's just so much, it feels so much energy in that song. And it's just like, this can't just be 4, 2 guitars and a bass and a drums, but it is. And so I just love the energy of that. And then my softer side comes through, which it probably does in the later one, actually, when we look at the other top 5. I'll Be Back and If I Fell. So number 2 spot is I'll Be Back. Number 1 spot is If I Fell. Just the harmonies in that, the beautiful, they're just beautiful harmonies, really beautiful songs, the ballads, I always like a good ballad, to be honest. I'm a bit of a soft lad at times for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all, man. I just put together a bracket of one of many future brackets of the best ballads of all time. So I enjoy a good fucking ballad. Their ballads can be incredible, especially.
I love them. They're just full emotions, A song that can evoke emotions, I think, is just that's what a song needs to do, and ballads, a good ballad will do that,
Oh yeah, they definitely will. I mean, there's definitely some symphonic metal ballads I fucking love, like with a passion. Yeah. So I get it. But well, I had one honorable mention for this, like I said. My honorable mention is the title track, A Hard Day's Night, which I honestly I surprised myself because I thought it was going to be a lot higher than that, but it ended up being the honorable mention because, I prefer the John C. Reilly version, Walk Hard. But, yeah, I did that for you, Chancey. But A Hard Day's Night is a classic. It's one of the first Beatles songs I think I ever heard. I think I heard it like on TV during one of the commercials when they were like advertising like the Beatles CDs they were trying to sell, like all the compilations back in the 90s. So I'm pretty sure it's the first time I ever heard that. It was one of the first ones I ever heard, and I liked it back then even. But my number 5 was And I Love Her, because I don't recall ever hearing that one. And I was a little bit surprised that it was a really good song, a good ballad. And my number 4 was also I Should Have Known Better, like you, though, because that another one I didn't really know, but it's a damn good song. I mean, some of the lyrics in some of these songs were so simple that I just couldn't get into it, but like the more complex ones like that, like really draw me in with the Beatles. Number 3 is Can't Buy Me Love, because that's a classic. That's a freaking classic that I've heard for years and I love it. Same with number 2, because I'm a huge fan of the Across the Universe movie they did with the Beatles songs. So If I Fell in Love with You in that movie is perfectly done. And that song, you're right, the harmonies in that song for a ballad are freaking perfect. And that's a classic song. And my number 1 was actually a surprise find for me. I can't remember hearing it, but You Can't Do That. Like, I actually thought that was beautifully put together, instrumentally, vocally, everything was just perfectly put together. So, I mean, it was kind of my surprise towards the end of the album when I heard that. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, this is new. This is awesome. I'm like, you're going up to the top. You knock everything else down. But, like I said, it's the Beatles. I never could hate a full Beatles album completely. I'll always have tracks I don't like and tracks I like, but We also have a top 100 Beatles songs bracket coming up at some point in the future too, for Chansey. But
yeah, I'm gonna miraculously come up, sick and dead. I'm gonna, call in dead on that one. I can't come in today, boss. I'm dead.
oh god, Chansey. Well, what were your top 5, Chansey? Because I'm kind of dying to hear this because I know your affliction for the Beatles.
Honestly, you guys have already mentioned every one of my top 5.
Not
so like,
but...
number 5 for me was "And I Love Her." Number 4 was "I Should Have Known Better."
The triple
we all
had
had
that's
that.
funny.
We all had that. Number 4, Wicked.
Yeah. Number 3 for me was "I'll Be Back." Number 2 was "A Hard Day's Night," and then number 1 for me was "Can't Buy Me Love," because that's always just it was always in a circulation. If they ever played a 2 in a row for the Beatles, one of them was "Can't Buy Me Love." And also, since Jeremy seems to be so keen to drop alternate media, there is that 80s movie of the same name with Patrick Dempsey made by John Hughes that was actually pretty decent.
It's actually one of the few John Hughes movies that I kind of like. It's one of the few John Hughes movies I actually like. So yeah, I'll say it was decent.
That was so tough for me to actually say. I hate it when he does that. He's like, "Oh, I heard this on this, and I like this because of this alternate piece of thing," instead of actually ingesting the music. Like, I ingested the music by ingesting the music. He ingests the music over here.
Not always. I mean, I heard "A Hard Day's Night" in a commercial, dude. It just happened to come on TV. Like I ingested the music because I heard the music.
I mean, that's my point.
But back in the day when you actually had to watch commercials, you had no fucking choice but to ingest what they gave you, because otherwise you're sitting there bored for 8 minutes. But it's the Beatles, man. I've ingested a lot of Beatles in my time. In my history of American pop music class in college, which was like one of the best electives I ever took. That's actually the first. After the quick little session on Ragtime, the Beatles were like one of the first bands he actually hits on. So we did a lot of. That's when I fell in love with Sgt. Pepper's, because that he went through like all their albums, like choices from each album, and like to show the progression. And it was a fun week. It was a fun week of learning that shit. So I ingested a lot of Beatles in that week because we had to listen to a lot of different. There's a lot of homework of listening to music, which is good homework, but still time consuming. But that's what we do for the show. So I guess I liked it enough to do it for a non-paying job in a way, but hopefully paying someday. But I guess that means, hello Harley, glad to have you watching. And yes, I know you love Can't Buy Me Love. You like all those John Hughes freaking movies. Ugh. Can't stand them, really can't. But I guess it's time to go to my album, and with short notice to find an album for this week's episode, that was my fault, because I honestly didn't look at my calendar and remember I had an episode this week, so I had to reach out a little bit late about that. But I was looking at the albums from 1964 when A Hard Day's Night came out, and I just, I'm like, okay, he's already bringing the number 1 album from that year on every list I see. Like, yeah, I'm like, and I'm looking at the other ones. I'm like, all right, I almost brought a Supremes album because it was that time, and Supremes are amazing. But then, you know what? I was like, you know what? No, because I've been listening to this. A band I love, Powerwolf, has albums they put out where Jesus, the hell's that, tank? But Powerwolf puts out these albums where other metal artists, other rock artists cover their songs. And this band covers one of the songs. So I've been going through all the bands that are on those albums and like listening to their actual stuff, their original stuff. And I came across this band's first CD and was listening to it a couple times, and I freaking fell in love with it, because this band is they're a German rock band that started in like the late 2000s. They are trying to bring back stadium rock, which Germany and all of Western Europe are like, 20, 30 years late on music trends. So they're trying to bring back stadium rock. And as a lover of stadium rock, I freaking thought this band was amazing. I think everything about them is amazing. Their instrumentals, their vocals are amazing, because it honestly reminds me of Motley Crue's vocals in a way. It's somewhat. But so I decided to bring Kiss and Dynamite's Steel of Swabia, which is kind of a newfound thing for me, and I usually don't bring music on the show because I've been listening to it lately. But this time I'm like, you know what? I'm bringing this CD. I could have brought the Supremes and went with something I already know, but I'm like, I'm gonna bring something new that no one's ever heard of before, and we're gonna rock that out. So that's why I want to bring Kissin' Dynamite, because they're a new discovery of mine, and I've quite fallen in love with them. Even though I've only heard this first CD so far, I'm kind of dying to see their newer stuff to see how they progress too. But well, I'll get to that eventually when I have time. But Martin, what did you think of Kissin' Dynamite?
I mean, I've got to be honest. It's not a band I was previously familiar with, but I thank you for introducing me because I quite liked it. It is a band that Robin George, who I spoke about, he would have appreciated this band. I wish I could have had a chat with him now about it. But yeah, I liked it. You can hear the Stadium Rock. You said I can hear Iron Maiden in there. I can hear Def Leppard in there. I can hear Metallica in there. But yeah. I liked it, and great voice. The guy's got a great voice, the lead singer. And it's only when you look at the notes that you say, "What? These guys are German? What?" Because you wouldn't have known that. But do you want my top five? Do you want me to?
Not yet. I want we gotta let Chancey give his review first.
Yeah,
I'm dying to hear.
Roses, they're also in there. Yeah, but yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a good, and although it's heavy rock. Heavier rock than certainly what I chose. I bet you if you asked them, do you like the Beatles? They'd go, yeah. They would. They just would. They would. They'd say, yeah, they're inspirations for us. But yeah, it's good. I liked it. Melody in there as well. Even though it's rock, melody was in there. So yeah.
Oh yeah. And Chancey, with your evil grin, go ahead and give your review.
I mean, I don't really have anything bad to say. It was pretty middle of the road for me. Like, good vocals, good guitar. It felt like a band that was out of time, like not off time, but like out of place in time. Like they should have been in the midst of that hair metal revolution where they would have really blown up. It's one of those things where you listen to it and you can recognize, like, oh, if these guys would have started in 87 or 87 or 85, they would have been huge. But, I had to constantly be like, God, why does this sound like it's like stuff I listened to in, prenatal, like in the womb. It's like, trigger flashback. But, no, I really don't have anything bad to say about it. Honestly, you've brought worse albums. I mean, I can't complain. I can't complain about it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not one of my favorite. It's not one of my favorite bands in the world, but it's definitely they're definitely doing something right. It's hard to put my finger on when I only listen to one album, but they're definitely doing something right. And they actually are taking Germany by storm because I mean over there, they still love this type of music. Over there, it's still like it mumbles, like it's huge. But
it's not new to them. They just enjoyed it.
Yeah, they enjoyed it, and they didn't want it to die when it died in America. So when Nirvana killed it, but I had 3 honorable mentions for this CD, of course. Don't worry, Chance, I got more than that for yours. But my number 8 was Against the World because that just it sounds like a classic rock anthem song. It's just a classic rock anthem song that's amazing. Number 7 was Only the Good Die Young because the freaking harmonies in the chorus in that were freaking incredible. And on all these, I could say the guitar is amazing because the guitar. I don't know who the guitar player is in this band even, but he is fucking incredible. Like he does such a good job. And the drummer's not horrible either, really. But number 6 was Lie for me because I love that. If you want to love me, you gotta lie for me, like type of thing. Like I kind of like that message. So. Number 5 was Ready Steady Thunder because it's AC/D-ish in its presentation. It's like a very rock anthem-y type of song. Like Ready Steady Thunder. AC/DC, I said.
I only heard one C, bro. I was like ACD. Like I don't know nothing about that shit. Like what's that?
Well, Chancey, it's missing a letter. It can either be a great band or a good time. You pick which letter's missing. But and number 4 is My Religion because I got like Ozzy vibes from the lyrics in that song, like "Rock and Roll is my religion." Like I kind of got Ozzy vibes from the lyrics of it, and it reminds me of a lot of other like German metal songs I listen to where that's kind of the message, and they always are freaking amazing to listen to and rock out to. And it kind of relate, yeah. My number three was I hate hip hop because I love when rock artists actually put like songs or lyrics in songs about like how much they hate hip hop. I mean, Lordy's done it. A couple other groups have done it as well. I can't think off the top of my head, but this song is freaking incredible because I saw this song when I first looked at the track listing. I'm like, ooh, can't wait to get that one. I can't wait. And it's just, I mean, it makes sense because they would hate hip hop. Hip hop and hair metal never really got along too well. There's exceptions to that rule. I mean, if you call it, yeah, I guess Aerosmith and Run DMC kind of is an exception to that rule, but still, yeah. I'm not saying they all liked each other, but number two was Let's Get Freaky because that's a freaking amazing opener, and it's just so reminiscent of 80s music. It really is, and like the whole freaky, 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 like it's just freaking amazing. Like it gets stuck in your head, like it really does. And number one, which I'm honestly surprised. I thought Let's Get Freaky was going to stay at number one, but my number one was Zombie because I couldn't hear the name of the song without thinking about the Cranberries at first, and I'm just like I had to get that out of my head. Ironically enough, but Zombie is a freaking amazing song. The lyrics are amazing. The freaking singer's so good with the vocals on that one. The way he goes back and up and down, like it was a really good song overall. Enjoyable shit. So I had to be my number one. And it's different. It's because these are not like American hair metal bands. Like it's not all about the same things. Like they do different genres of lyrics in their shit. It's amazing like how they do it. Like that's why I like Powerwolf because it's a band about werewolves and vampires and religion control and all that. Like it's a freaking like you gotta like the stuff that's not just about sex, money, cars, and drugs. But I mean, I love all that stuff too. Don't get me wrong. But what were your top five there, Martin, for Kissing Dynamite?
Yeah, so I had Let's Get Freaky in at number 5. Again, like you took the words out of my mouth. Great start of the album. Just a great start. It's freaky, so it's just great title. It's a great vibe in it. So yeah, my number 4 was Heart Attack. I just thought that was again some melody in there, great solid backbeats and riffs coming in quite early, and it just that kind of just hooked me straight away. That particular track. Then of course my softer side starts to show again, if you can on an album like this, but it did, yeah. Number 3, Out in the Rain. That reminded me a little bit of Sabbath in a way, even though it wasn't hard Sabbath, but just because it's quite an ominous sound. It's not arpeggio, but there's some sort of lick going on, if I can call it that, of guitar, and it's quite ominous, the sound. They're using minor notes or something going on there, which I quite like the feel of that. Number 2 was Against the World. The opening sort of again guitar to that. It's so reminiscent to me of Metallica's Nothing Else Matters, which is a song I absolutely love. And I think though this is earlier than that particular song. I'm not trying to say that Metallica or this band.
No. This album came out in 2008, so no, definitely not before.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So, but it's very reminiscent to that. It sounded to me of Metallica. But again, once the guy starts singing, you can hear Bon Jovi and Guns N' Roses in there. That was a great track, Against the World. And my number 1 was Life for Me. Catchy chorus, and like you say, I like it was an unusual take on a chorus and a song vibe that you want to be my baby, you've got to lie for me. So you want to be my girl, you got to lie for me. That's what you've got to do for me. So yeah. That's
kind of an anti-Beatles thing almost in a way. I mean, that's something they would never say. Like that's the opposite of what they would never say in a song. So
yeah.
But Chancey, I'm down to hear. What are your top 5 for this amazing band?
So my number 5 was My Religion. I thought that was pretty good. Number 4 was Only the Good Die Young. Kind of let me know I was going to live forever. Number 3, I mean, everybody's all in kind of an agreement on this. Let's Get Freaky's far too far. It's much catchier than it really should be, but it's still catchy as fuck. Number 2 was Zombie, and then number 1 for me was Heart Attack. I really didn't have any trouble kind of settling in on what I was going to put on my list.
I couldn't see Out in the Rain and Heart Attack. I couldn't get into. I tried multiple times to listen to those songs and really I'm like, why am I not you think I'd like these? Why am I not liking them? And it didn't sync. It didn't sync. And I'm just like, all right, this song's not as good as the other ones. I'm like, I can't get behind it. I couldn't get behind it. It's just, I don't know why. Heart Attack, a little less trouble with that. Heart Attack wasn't as bad, but Out in the Rain, it's just, I didn't like it. I don't know why. I usually like those type of Guns N' Roses songs, but no, not this one. Well, that brings us to another album, and I will let Chancey explain why he wanted to bring this album, because I know he's been waiting a long time to bring this album on. So, why'd you want to bring it, Chancey?
So, kind of a two-parter. One, I'm going to have to start off by apologizing to our guest, because before we engaged in the conversation, like, Martin, you seem like a pretty good guy, and he's like, oh, hey, we out of nowhere, he's like, hey, we got a show on Sunday. I'm like, okay. And then he's like, oh, here's the guest album, and it's the Beatles, and it's like, okay. And I've already I had previously chosen this for a different show and already had everything laid out, and we weren't able to record it. I think I've picked it at least once or twice. And I was like, all right, I'm putting this one out there just as a, standoffish rebellion against, the Beatles and then the hair metal band from Germany. I'm sorry, I really am. But I chose the Circus of Dead Squirrels because if anyone out of the three of us is going to be accused of playing with dead things, it's probably me. The name of the album is The Pop Culture Massacre and the End of the World. I actually came across this by chance. It was one of those things where you're listening to a like list and it throws in you may like on the option. And I listened, I don't remember which, I think it might have been President Pinocchio was the actual song that came across my radar. And I am a hard sucker for a good sample. If they take something of alternate media and put it into a good song, I almost guaranteed to love the song, even if it's trash. And there are so many good samples from so many different places that I was a kid in a candy store, you could say. I really don't know much about the band personally. Literally, it was one of those things that I came across, listened to it, was like, oh, I really like this. I want to bring it on the show. And then I just couldn't. It's just every time I was like, I'm going to put this up there. I was starting to think that people were listening to the album and being like, yeah, I'm not coming on, man.
Apparently they like to perform live with a squirrel mask on. I read that about them.
Hey,
and
all right.
I mean, what can I say? But Martin, what did you think of Circus of Dead Squirrels, or did you want to go jump in and join the Dead Squirrels?
I didn't quite know what to make of it, to be honest. So much so, I've got to be honest with you, I didn't see the link for this particular album, so my bad. But you obviously did send it over to me. I'm just looking at it now. So let me talk about the Circle of Dead Squirrels. What a name for a band for a start. And the Pop Culture Massacre. So, I can see why you chose this as another sort of juxtapose. I like to the Beatles,
nice,
especially probably the most poppy Beatles album there is, and you've gone on the other side. So yeah, so forgive me for not. But I'm going to go after. I don't know why you sent me the link, obviously, Jeremy, didn't you? Yeah.
Yep. I
So,
always do. I think I even said it twice just because I want to make sure that both of them were. I don't know. That was something. That was another show, but I did send both of them. I know I did because I had Chancey's. I had Chancey's up in the email, sitting there for a day in a draft while I was waiting to pick mine, and then I put mine underneath it. So I mean, but they're both there. That's for sure.
I promise you, I'm going to go and listen to it after Chancey. And apologies for.
Oh no,
Oh,
it's fine. I mean,
he'll owe you apologies. Trust me. But,
I mean, honestly, now having heard my explanation, it may actually give you an alternate perspective that you may not have enjoyed it going into it, and then you can hear some of the things and go, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how it is with me with those samples. Like, if I'm drudging through a song that I don't like, and then all of a sudden there's a catchy sample, it's like, okay, that's salvageable.
Yeah. I'm looking at the album cover, and it's
Yeah.
it's a bit like a soccer shirt with the yellow and red stripes.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's true. You're right.
You know, we're big on our soccer in England. Football, it's football here. But if I said football,
I was surprised you said soccer. I was like,
yeah.
Hold on, wait, what?
Electronic rock though, so they use a lot of samples. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't know what to think when I saw the album cover either. I'm like, what the fresh hell has Chancey brought forth upon me now? But I saw the name Circus of Dead Squirrels, and I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued now.
Like Elmo's Last Laugh. I just think that's a great name. That's a great name for a track. Elmo's Last Laugh.
It is. It is because
you said the Happy Meal Worm. You know, there's
I mean,
some intriguing titles there.
I know that's
listen to every single track on that album, Chancey. So thank you.
That was the other thing is on the episode that this previously was going to be on. I listened to the other two albums first because I already knew them kind of. So I put this on last, and I was looking at the titles as I'm about to hit play. I'm just like, okay, this is either gonna be really bad or I'm gonna freaking love it. Don't know which way it's gonna go just yet, but it's gonna be one of those two ways. I already can tell. I put on the first song. I'm like solid guitar, solid drums, decent singer. I'm like, all right, fuck. I'm like, this is kind of dog fashion disco-y. This is kind of, as my wife just described it in the car, it's kind of Rob Zombie music and System of a Down style singing. Like, so I'm like, I can dig it. I can dig it. I'm like, I've listened to this album, I think 3 times now in full, and it's better with headphones on. I will say it's 100% better with headphones on compared to listening to it in the car, because you really can't hear everything they're saying in the car unless you have it like blasting, and even then it's still hard to hear some things. But I enjoyed the hell out of it. It made me laugh a lot, which I love when albums like this make me laugh. Like same thing Dog Fashion Disco does with like their little skits and songs and shit. So I like to laugh during music a lot, and this definitely made me laugh a lot. I love pop culture references in music, and this album is chock full of them, which I knew Chancey knew going in that he's like, Jeremy's gonna like this because it's all pop culture related songs. So, but it was good. It definitely was good. And when I looked up the picture of the band and saw the 4 of them on stage with their like half squirrel masks that go down their nose, I was like, okay, I would go see them live just to see this, but
for sure.
To see this. And I kind of want to dig into some of the other music they have out, because I know they have more albums than this, but I think they have like at least 5 or 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
But I definitely want to see what else they've done, because I want to find out if this album was like a fluke or if all their albums are similar too. I mean, because like with Dog Fashion Disco, some albums are better than others, but I'm kind of wondering if this would be the same thing, or if they're all just going to be amazing, or this would be like the one good album and the rest are all shit. But because that happens. There are certain bands I only like one album from, the rest I just can't stand. But so overall, Chancey, seal of approval. You can sleep good tonight. But I don't think that's really a problem to begin with. But what were your top 5 there, Chancey?
So I actually had 2 honorable mentions for mine. I was going to bring the whole album, but I didn't want to bother ranking every track. Number 7 for me was Utopia Burning. As soon as I saw the title, I was like, oh, this is gonna be something. And then number 6 for me was Elmo's Last Laugh, which is it's great. Number 5 for me was Prize Fighter. Just such, honestly, like so many good riffs and obviously we were talking about the samples and the electronic music portion of it. That's also really awesome. Number 4 was Nobody Quite Like Me. Number 3 was The Happy Mealworm. Number 2 and number 1 were very, very tricky for me. So number 2 for me was Losing Touch. Losing Touch was really good. I enjoyed it a whole lot. Number 1 was President Pinocchio. Anybody who's ballsy enough to sample fucking Disney, an actual shit from the movie in your song, if you're that ballsy, number 1 in my book. I mean, shit. I heard it go. I think it was Stromboli, I think is what his name is. You hear the guy yelling in Italian and whatnot. And you're like, oh shit. Is that actually from the movie? And then all of a sudden it goes, there are no strings on me. I was like, oh shit. That is from the movie. So yeah, I was like, I'm sold.
Well, and Martin will have to get to you with his top 5 after he listens to the album, and if his ears aren't bleeding at that point. But I actually had 4 honorable mentions for this album because I fucking fell in love with this album deeply. And my first honorable mention was President Pinocchio, because that shit made me laugh my ass off, because freaking the whole I got no strings on me, shut the fuck up. Like, that shit made me laugh my ass off.
Right.
And and Isham did the same thing, like when he kind of sampled Pinocchio for one of the songs. And I love when Disney gets taken down a notch. My number 8 was Prize Fighter, because that song has some really good fucking harmonies in it, like in the chorus, and I like the freaking like little skit in the beginning too. It's funny. Number 7 was Utopia Burning. Number 7 was Utopia Burning, same as you, because I saw the title and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. And I wasn't disappointed. And number 6 was Overpopulation Annihilation. I love the rhyme in the chorus. It sounds amazing when they're singing it, and like the guitar in it is so fucking incredible. My number 5 was Losing Touch, because that song's fucking kind of reminds me of Ween, or kind of reminds me of maybe what the fuck's their names? Can't even think of it right now, but kind of reminds me of Ween. Number 4 is Nobody Quite Like Me, because that song is fucking incredible and I can relate to it so much. Like, the guitar in that song is incredible, the lyrics are incredible. My number 3 was Elmo's Last Laugh. Elmo would eat a baby. Like, that shit had me dying laughing. Like, the Elmo voices in it had dying laughing. I'm like, oh god, I love when people make fun of like when South Park did the whole Elmo touch me like fucking doll thing to make fun of it. Like, it was hilarious. Like, number 2 was The Happy Mealworm, because it gave me like System of a Down kind of feels, the way they do the freaking whole like Big Mac recipe in the song. Like, kind of reminds me of System of a Down, like with the pineapple pizza, like that type of shit. Like, but and my number 1 was Hell's Kitchen. I don't know why, but Hell's Kitchen just really stuck with me. It's a fucking amazing song, and everything about it is just incredible. The drums, the guitar, the lyrics, it's all freaking amazing. So I liked Hell's Kitchen. But
was Hell's Kitchen anything to do with Gordon Ramsay's program? Was it any samples of Gordon Ramsay swearing, the chef?
No, I kind of was hoping there was going to be. I kind of was hoping there was going to be when I saw the title. Either that, or I was hoping it was going to be like a Daredevil reference somewhere in there. But I mean, still, it was good. It was good. I enjoyed the shit out of CD Chancey, so good job.
Yeah.
But there you go, folks. We have brought you these albums 3 as always. And yes, we'll be back on Tuesday with our regularly scheduled programming as always, with 3 more albums that we have to listen to, some of us, in the next couple of days. But we'll be back with it. And we want to thank Martin for coming on, because it's been a fun time.
Thank you.
And
yeah, we'll have to get you back on.
Yeah, I'd love to come back on. And next time I'll listen to your album, I promise, Chance. But I'm going to go away and listen to it, mate. I'm going to go away and listen to it.
I hope you like it. I mean, it's pretty heavy. I mean, it's definitely like, we definitely went from like least heavy to most heavy in this section. So it's
cool.
You might want to prepare yourself.
Yep. Okay.
Gird your ears and all that. But Martin, where can they find where can our listeners find you and everything you do?
Yeah, so I have my own website, www.martintracy.co.uk. That's links to all my socials as well. It has information about my books. Yet to get something on there for Robin's book that I'm working on, but obviously when that is released, that will be on there as well. But yeah, that's the main place. I mean, you can find me on all the socials, as I said, your Facebook, your Instagrams, etc., etc. Yeah, and I love connecting with people. So yeah, it'd be great to hear off anyone. But yeah, my website is Tracey with an E, Martin Tracey, CEY. Can't remember if Spencer Tracey had an E in or not, but anyway.
Oh, Chancey, where can they find you besides the other side of the tracks?
Well, there's that. And on Instagram and TikTok, it's Red Eye Roundtable. On X, it's Red Eye Table. And on Facebook, this is my actual first name. I have to go through my friend suggestions and message requests to see if I've been found again. I think I might have, so I have to find out what they want to put on and see if it's been played before. I'm a little worried about it because I think people are starting to figure out the things I don't like, and they're like, "Oh, hey, how about you bring this one on?" It's like, I don't want to listen to it, but I painted myself in this corner, so here we are.
Hey, you make a deal with the devil, you gotta do what he says. But
you gotta pay the
I need
band.
to grow my beard a bit longer for next time as well, because I'm a bit short on the beard front with next to you two guys.
And that's also why Chancey tries to downplay how much he doesn't like the Beatles or Elvis, or because he doesn't want people bringing these types of albums to him to bring on. Because I swear to God, if you bring on Jailhouse Rock, I will freaking love you. But
I'll refuse. I'll lie to him and be like, "No, somebody brought it on before."
Yeah, for anybody who tries to find him, if he tells you it's been wrong before and you think he's lying, come and find me. We'll check it out. But yeah, you can find both your musers on Facebook as the Uncensored, Unapologetic, and Untamed Podcast Collective, UCubed. You can find us on X and the Gram as that Juggalo Bastard. And you can find us on TikTok as that Juggalo Bastard Podcast. And you can also find us on YouTube, streaming live as Maniacal Music Musings. And you can also check out all our past episodes. In certain countries you can't, but that's because of music rights. And we are also proud members of Blind Knowledge and Parapost Network because, all knowledge was blind until Chancey had a hard day's night. But we'll be back We'll be back on Tuesday with 3 more albums, and we'll be back 2 Saturdays from now with the final part of the Rolling Stones Top 500 Songs bracket. Come see us take on the right side of the bracket. But see you then, folks.